Hello, and welcome to the last part of our video lessons for Andantino. In the previous two videos, we've looked at the first half and the second half, and so in this video, we're just going to put that all together, and we're going to look at some of the details that are really going to bring out the character and the fun in this piece. So, I think I mentioned at the end of the last part, just to talk about articulation. So, articulation is kind of like punctuation in music. It tells us kind of how, not the notes themselves, but how we want to play them. So, if you look here, these are some of our articulation things we've got to look at. So, the first thing is staccato, which you may or may not know. It means short. So, if you look here, we have a staccato on this note, staccato on this note, and staccato on this note. Let me just demonstrate how that should sound to you. Okay, so those notes where we have the dot above them should be short and staccato. One important thing to remember about this is that sometimes you may see notes with the dot slightly to the side of them, which means to increase the rhythm of the rhythmic value of a note by half, which is not what we want here. Staccato is only when the dot is right above or below the note, and that means, as we said, to play it short. And then the other articulation thing we've got to look out for is the accent. And now an accent is a kind of emphasis, where we kind of dig in and bring the note out of it. For example, I would just play this accent for you here, just so you hear how that sounds. So it should sound like this. So you hear I dig in with the bow a bit into the string. So let's put those first two bars together. I'll just demonstrate them to you, so you hear how the staccato and the accent sound. So, let's practice those. Maybe let's begin by just doing the staccato, and let's look at the first bar. So what I want us to do, to get this short, all we have to do is just stop the bow. I'll just demonstrate again. Stop the bow. Great, let's try that together. I'll count us in with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great, one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. So, that's the staccato. Let's try adding the accent in now. So, if you look in the second bar, let's try doing it just on its own. Let's play on downbeat for now. And the way to do that is, if you can see, I'm kind of digging the bow into the string a bit. So I put a bit of more weight into the string, and then I just move the bow. So we get that real emphasis. Obviously, make sure you don't do it too much, and so that we get too much of that. But we do want to hear some kind of emphasis. So let's try that. Maybe we just need 2 beats in. So ready? On that A, the first finger here, digging the bow into a string. 1, 2, and again 1, 2. So let's try putting those 2 bits together. So we'll do the first 2 bars, and so remember our staccatos, and then we add our accent. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good, let's try that again. So, and if you can, try and make the staccato even shorter, and just as an experiment, try and make the accent even more dug in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. So now let's try going on to the next 2 bars, and it's exactly the same pattern. We have 2 notes, and then staccato and crochet, 2 notes, staccato and crochet, same thing, and then an accent. So let's do these 2 bars here now. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. So now let's try playing the first 2 lines, because it's exactly the same pattern with the accents and the staccatos, and it'll give us lots of opportunity to practice that. So first 2 lines of a piece. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. That's really good. So, if you look in the next line, we don't have any articulation at all, which means we should play this whole next line legato, which in case you don't know, that just means smooth. So yeah, just really nice connected bows there. And then in the last line, we have these two bars, which are exactly the same. These two bars here, which are exactly the same. And then, let's have a look at this last bar actually. So what we have there are 3 staccatos in a row, and then the last note should be accented. So short, 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 and then accent, like this. I'll do it again. 1, 2. Let's try that together now. The last bar. So 3 staccatos in a row, and then an accent. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you remember, so we're stopping the bow for the staccatos, and then we're digging in for the accent. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. So that's all we need to talk about with the articulation in this piece. Let's think about the dynamics now. So, as you can see, we start off mezzo forte, which, as you all know, is like kind of medium loud, moderately loud. And then we carry on with that for the first 2 lines. And then in the third line, we go to forte. And then in the last line, we go back to mezzo forte. And then just in this last bar, we do that piano. So maybe let's just start actually. Let's play the first 2 bars just to establish our moderately loud sound. So let's try that. First 2 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if that's your moderately loud sound, let's go to the third line now and play the first 2 bars of that, and it needs to be stronger, so we have a good difference between the moderately loud and the actually loud and the third line. So third line, 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. And so was there a difference between your mezzo forte and your forte? I'm sure there was. Great. And then we go back to mezzo forte for that last line. And then in the very last bar, we have piano. So let's just practice that. And even though we're playing piano, make sure you still remember your articulation from before. So nice and soft. So you can maybe use a bit less bow and make sure it's not on the fingerboard, but maybe ever so slightly closer. But we still want it nice and short. And then on the accent, it's an accent within piano. So it needs an emphasis, but a fairly quiet emphasis, if that makes sense. Let me just demonstrate. Okay, let's try that together now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, brilliant. So now, hopefully that all makes sense of the dynamics. I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine with that. The last thing is the tempo. So if you remember back to the very beginning of the first video, we talked about the Andantino. Can you remember what that means? Yes, it means slightly faster than a walking pace. So maybe if a walking pace, I'll try and think how fast I walk, is like this, then maybe slightly faster than that. So yeah, exactly as we've been practicing it. So that's the first tempo thing, which we have already. The next thing is this rit here. Now, can you think what rit stands for? It stands for ritardando, which means gradually getting slower. So in this bar here, we just, as well as, I didn't mention this before actually, just before we talk about the rit, we have a diminuendo here. So we go from very loud back to moderately loud here. So something to remember when we play it through. Yes, so rit there, we just want to gradually get slower. So I'll go from the bar before just so you can hear the difference. So good. So in that bar, we've got to not only get a bit slower on each beat, but also we've got to get a bit quieter. I'll play it one more time. Okay, let's try that together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then you can see in this bar, we're back. So it says a tempo, which means back in tempo. So we're back to our original speed. And now we have actually two details. We have another writ here, so we've got to slow down in our last bar. And also, one thing I forgot to circle here is we have this pause. So normally we have a pause over a note, which I'm sure, as you know, means we hold it on for a bit longer than is indicated. But here it's over a bar line. Can you think what that might mean? So yeah, maybe you got that. It means that we should have a little stop on this bar line. Let me just demonstrate for the last two bars for you. So we put a little pause in between the two bars. Let's try that together and try and play kind of at the exact same time as I did. So last two bars with our pause in between and slowing down in the last bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, let's try that one more time. So there's lots of things to remember in that last bar. We've got to pause before it, we've got to slow down, we've got to play piano, and we've got to remember articulation. So try and remember all those things. And the last two bars, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. So we've now covered everything in this. Let's try playing it all the way through. So things to remember: our articulation. We've got our staccato and our accents, dynamics. We've got mezzo forte here, our diminuendo in this bar, making sure we're getting quieter and slowing down with our writ. And yeah, exactly, that's the last thing. It's the tempo, so slowing down here, back in tempo here, and then slowing down in our last bar, and remembering to put a little gap just before the last bar. So hopefully all those things have kind of brought the piece a bit to life and given a bit more character. And yeah, let's play all the way through. So from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4. Brilliant. So hopefully you've enjoyed playing this piece. It's a really fun piece to play. And thank you very much for watching the videos.